right, we're gonna call to order the advisory board meeting for May 13th, 2021. First on the agenda is the approval of minutes from April 12th, 2021. And let's see, everybody had a chance to look at them, and does anybody have anything?
I just had one thing, if it's open for discussion.
Yes.
Carrie, welcome back, but,
I was not here.
You were not
you
here.
were not here, so I have a
I
correction
saw
on
that,
the
and I was like,
meeting.
well, that was nice of them.
Your
Appreciate
spirit.
that. That was
You were here in spirit,
spirit,
but I
yes.
just knew that we had to correct the minutes, so, that was the only thing that I saw, and I don't know if anybody else saw anything else
I
or not.
didn't.
But I would make a motion to approve the minutes as written with the exception of the removal of Carrie Roach as being present for that meeting.
Do we have a second?
I see.
Okay. And vote. All right, so we will make that change and go forward. So,
Did you vote, Karen? I don't. You don't. I can't.
all right, we have I don't see anybody here for public comment unless y'all want to make a public comment. Okay, so now we'll move on to our presentations. We're lucky today. We have two groups who are making presentations today. And we'll start with the Foothills Agricultural Resource and Marketing Center, or the Farm Center, and it's Mr. Stanley Gibson.
Is it okay if I take this off on the speaker? Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Stanley Gibson. I am the chairman of the board of the Farm Center, and we have been in operation now. In November, it'll be 4 years. Of course, you have to take 1 year off for last year, but operation 3 years, but we've been there and we'll be in effect for 4 years. We are a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, and the Farm Center acts as an umbrella organization for not only the Farm Center and the activities we have there, but also the Farmers Market and the South Carolina Foothills Heritage Fair. And so all of that is housed on the same property there at the Farm Center. We've got about 57 acres. The county was gracious enough to purchase this property and lease it to us. We are currently in a 50-year lease for that property, so by the time it runs out, it's going to be somebody else's problem. I don't think I'll be 110, but we'll see. All right. This is where we're going. You see the drawing here. I'll update you on where we are now. We've got the market building, that's on the left-hand side, the smaller building there. We also have the amphitheater facility that is set up. We'll talk about that some more in detail in a little bit. And we're real excited because we now have our second entrance going on to the property. As part of that, we have also contracted with Thrift Development while they were there doing that entrance. They completed the perimeter road around there. They helped us clear out the trees along Sanford Boulevard there, so now there's much more visual sight there. We've had, it's amazing the number of people that said, I didn't know that was up there, because the trees blocked the view, so that has definitely helped out. Hopefully, we're going to soon be putting in the livestock building, the small building there, and hopefully one day down the road, in the not too distant future, we'll get that covered arena put in, and then I think things will really bust loose on that. We'll be able to do all sorts of events, okay? And this is our new prize out there, the second entrance coming in. What this is going to allow us to do, that plus the perimeter road that they completed for us, is during high traffic events, such as the fair, concerts we're going to be having, the old entrance can be an entrance only. We can bring in 2 lanes of traffic, get them parked on the side. If someone's leaving during that time, they simply get on that perimeter road, go around, go out the lower gate. This will also serve for our truck and trailer entrance. Our livestock facility is going to be easy access from this back entrance here. So they can come up here, shoot right up the hill, park beside the building there, and they're ready to start the show. So we're certainly excited about that and the potential that this is going to allow us to have moving forward. Okay. Another upgrade that we have, and some of these things, they're maybe not as excited for the people that are out there in the other world, but for us, this is real exciting. We do have a digital sign now, or two of them, one on each side of the sign. We had the old-fashioned where you put the letters in and change them out, but this is great. We can put several different things on at one time, and it runs in a cycle there. And we've got a lot of positive feedback from this that people can actually read the sign now as they're going up and down the road. And that's important because this road runs about 25,000 cars a day going up and down the road there. So that's a lot of access to folks that maybe wouldn't know anything about the opportunities that we're going to have there at the farm center. Okay. This is the Holden Pavilion. It serves as the home of our farmers market. The interesting thing on this, we built this, we said this is going to be nice, we can grow into this over time. Well, I think the second market we had, we were slam full, and it has stayed that way. We've run for about 3 weeks so far this year, and each week we've about filled this building up. When the produce starts coming in, then it'll really be packed. We'll do that. We'll bring tents out to the front. We've got long-range plans of coming in, maybe bringing a T off the front of that and adding another 8 or 10 stations there so that we can allow all that want to come in to be under the main building. All right. We're really excited about this next venture, and that is the Thrive Summer Concert Series. This will start up on June the 5th. That'll be our first concert. So we have been working out there diligently, getting the power in, getting the pad set up, making sure that the grounds are fully accessible for folks to be coming out to this event. We're starting out the first one. You can go to the next slide. Our first one on June the 5th, you can see the bands that we've got lined up for that. Jive Mother Mary, Pluma Drive, and Justin Clyde Williams. And then on July the 10th, Michelle Malone is going to be our headline act there. We're also looking at a possible blues concert on the 7th of August. And then on the 28th of August, doing kind of a back-to-school celebration. Clemson will be back in town, and so we're going to market heavy to them. That's before they get started with football, and hopefully they'll bring a big crowd out for a concert on the grounds during that time. But we've got a lot of events that are planned there with our amphitheater. We want to use it as much as possible. We've also had a church contact us about doing a Christian rock concert out there. So the word is starting to get out. The facilities are there, and people are having the interest in coming in and working with us on that. Okay? And this is looking from the back of the amphitheater pad. You can see going up the hill. Our original plan when we talked about the farm center did not include an amphitheater until we went out on the grounds and actually rode through and said, this is a natural bowl shape with the terrace rows there, so why not take advantage of it? Okay. And this is the site from the top of the hill looking down. So the stage will go on the pad down there. The first year what we're going to do is just bring in portable stages that have the roofs on them, and they'll come in. We'll use those this year. The plan, hopefully before next year's concerts begin, is to have a permanent stage there with a cover over it. And so we can start moving forward, have some larger events there. This will accommodate about 5,000 people. It's fully packed, so that's a large event for this part of the country. Okay. On top of the hill, what we did was during the pandemic time, when we weren't having people on the grounds, we were fortunate enough to be able to access a couple of grants. And with that, what we did was we took the top of the hill down. If you've been to the fair before, up there where the midway was for the fair, we took it down about 4 feet and then spread that out. So it basically doubled the size of the room there on top of the hill. And then we're in the process here. You see the poles in the ground. We are expanding our water and power capability up there as well. That's going to double the capacity for food vendors that'll set up there. This is great for the fair and also for other events. If we want to have some type of cook-off event or something like that, there's plenty of power and water there set up so people can come in and take full advantage of it. Here you can see part of the perimeter road, not the gravel in the front, but down on the bottom. This is going behind the amphitheater pad. That road comes around and all the way around the backside of the property and out. It's about a half-a-mile loop. And so it's a nice finished surface there, or will be soon. And so we thought, well, we've got an opportunity here to do something a little bit different. So on Saturday mornings during the farmers market, we're starting a walking club. And so folks, when they come out, they can do this loop around here as many times as they want, and they can also shop at the farmers market there. So we're trying to add other things to go on to try to keep people occupied and to give them another reason to come out to the farm center and take advantage of it. All right? The maintenance building here, this is a new addition that we're certainly excited for. If you've ever tried to store things in little buildings here and there and you don't know where it is, this is a 32 by 24 building here with 3 roll-up doors. It is fantastic. It gives us access to all of our equipment, things that we've got from the fair that we need to take down each year and store. We've got a nice dry place that we can put that. So we're in the process now of also getting power out there to it. So we're excited about that. We can do welding out there, what other activities we need to do to keep up with the maintenance of what's needed on equipment and the grounds there. We are kicking off our sponsorship drives, and we've got 4 of them that are available for people that want to be involved with the Farm Center. We mentioned the summer concert series. We have that from $10,000 all the way down to a few $100s, depending on what level of sponsorship that you're interested in doing. We have the Farm Center itself. One of the benefits of clearing that tree line along the Sanderford Boulevard there is we're going to put up a 6-foot chain link fence. And it's right there, again, along that road. It's got 25,000 cars going up and down it every day. And so we're going to be selling banners to put up along the road there to advertise folks. It also helps us because it's a funding resource for us. The market itself, we think we're honing in on a major sponsor for the market, but we're also looking for sponsors for a monthly basis, also for different events that we have there, and then also just a community sponsor of the market. So, if you can come out and you just want to be a sponsor and help out the market, you believe in what's going on there, it's a great opportunity there. And then, of course, the fair going on, we've got a whole series of sponsorship opportunities for the fair. We will be having the fair again this year, September 21st to the 25th. It'll be our 12th fair in the last 13 years, so we're definitely excited about that, being able to be up and running again on it. So a lot of opportunities there for folks to be more involved with what we're doing there at the Farm Center. One thing that we really need to get assistance on from you guys is, number one, social media. If you don't follow the Farm Center, the Farmers Market, and the fair, that's 3 opportunities there to follow those on Facebook. When something comes up, share it, like it, comment on it. All of that keeps everything moving. The more we can do that, that's all free advertising. And the more people we can get that grassroots movement there to get involved with that, then we can spread the word a whole lot faster. The way to do that is to, you can go to our website as well, farmoconee.org. We've got links to all the different events that we have there. We've got a calendar page. More explanation of what each of the different facets of the Farm Center do with the market and the fair. We also are looking for assistance with finding grants and other funding sources for some of the major projects that we've got going out there. We're talking about covering that arena. That's 2 years ago, the estimate was between 1.3 and 2.4 million. Since then, as you know, things have gone up significantly, so we're probably looking at 3 million plus in today's dollars. So that's a huge fundraising goal that we've got moving forward when we're ready to tackle that. Of course, the sponsorships I already mentioned. Also, potential events. If you come in contact with somebody or somebody calls you and they're looking for a host site to have an event here in the county, let us know. We'd love to work with groups out there. Yes, we are an agricultural event center, but that doesn't mean we can only do agricultural events. The property is there, the space is there, and so we're open to all comers. And then finally, help us educate the public of what we're doing there. And y'all are already doing a great job of that, but anything that we can do to step that up, ways that we can partner with this group or with Clemson Extension or other agricultural groups in the county so that we've kind of got a single focus there of promoting agriculture throughout Oconee County, because that's what we're all about in here, you guys and us too. So that kind of gives you an overview of what's happened over the last couple of years. If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer any of those.
Thanks, Stanley. I think we might, some people may have some questions, and we're gonna take a little time to discuss what you said as well. So if anybody has any questions for Stanley now? Okay.
When is Morris is retired, so we don't have anybody that stays in touch with the farm center. We have a new livestock agent, so do you have a board meeting for the fair coming up? Is there a way that we can get tied in with that?
Yep, the next fair board meeting should be help me here, Charlie, second Tuesday of the month, I think, is our normal
Second
fair board
Tuesday?
meeting night. Yeah, we can, we'll let Melinda know, the fair board president, and
Okay.
she'll get an email to you
Okay,
to let you know.
okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Anyone can go to those meetings?
Sure.
Fair board meetings?
Sure, yeah.
I know they're discussing the fair, but in the other side, the fundraising side and the grant side, do we need to be more in tune? I mean, do we need to, what am I trying to ask? Do you want a liaison, I guess, or do you not? I mean, would you like for us to appoint someone to help you, or
I think that would be fantastic.
okay.
If
One
we've got
thing-
somebody, we're an all the above type group. You know,
Right.
any help we can get is wonderful.
Never turn down free help, right?
That's right.
One thing I had thought about, we talked about at our last meeting, was forming work groups. And it can be from one person, like one liaison, or up to 3 people. And this would be sort of we could be your advocate or your sounding board or whatever, as far, and link the community, the farm center, and the county council. Because our primary purpose is to advise county council, but also to promote agriculture, but our primary purpose is that. So that in saying that, it would also include the grant. I would think if we had a lead on a grant, or you had a lead on a grant, that maybe that we could help you with.
Okay.
So if we had a work group established that was in contact with you, either as being part of your meetings, or that you called us after your meeting and said, hey, we talked about this today, or whatever, that's something that we could discuss among us and decide whether or not we wanted to do that, if that would be something that you would be interested in.
Certainly.
May I have any questions for Stanley? Tessa, I forget that you're sitting down there, I'm sorry.
Type it away.
That's okay.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank
Family.
Well, what do y'all think about forming a work group to be the farm center work group and be sort of like you said, a liaison or advocate for the farm center?
I think that would be great. I think we need to, the county invested, and these folks have invested, and I think it's a great thing for Oconee County, and we all need to be involved. So I think we voted to do work groups, and I think that just needs to be one of the extensions. It needs to be one of the focus groups. Charlie kind of keeps us updated with the fair side of it, but you have that, like Stanley said, you have the fair, the market, and the farm center, and I think any way we can help them we need to help. I think it's key. Don't want to overstep, but at the same time, whatever we can do.
Sounds like he's amenable to it. Charlie, you think it'd be a help to?
I do. That'd be a great help.
And on that same note, Charlie's on the fair board, but I think you could even have a work group there. It would kind of separate the two if someone wanted to help Charlie,
I think
other
we
than
could
what your
help
other.
them, they kind of all are intertwined, sort of.
They
all help
are.
you, and we could do that too. Tess, I know you haven't been here all that long, but I know you're familiar with what the fair and the
Right.
market and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I think it's definitely a good idea to have a connection, a official connection between the ag board and the farm center.
Well, I guess the next thing to do then is for someone to make a motion that we form a work group that is the, called the Farm Center Work Group. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion, so I'm going to repeat.
Did y'all, was that okay, motion one?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your motion, Kim?
My motion is to form a work group called the Farm Center Work Group from members of the Agricultural Advisory Board.
That sound good? You want to second that?
I did.
Okay. Any more discussion? One thing I think we can either decide among ourselves and who's gonna be part of it, or is there somebody, that kind of thing. Do we need to do that as part of the?
You know, we talked about our strategic plan, what all is gonna be available with the ag center. You know, we mentioned
right
all
along
kind of
with it.
stuff, the cannery and everything else that could be coming to the county and what's needed here, so we need to be working with this to make it happen.
I think so too. I think it goes right along with our mission, our goals, and everything we talk about.
I mentioned, around a few people, Gwen might tell us more about it, when she gives her presentation, but a cannery is needed bad in this county. If you start talking to people about it, they'll say, yeah, where's one at,
I don't know.
and, I think it'd be a great thing.
All right, then, I guess we'll vote on that motion.
Is there a need to decide who is on this work group at this time, or do we just decide, yes, we need a work group?
I think we could wait till we have a
Till
full
we have
crew and
everyone.
decide
We can do
work
that.
duties.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, just the fact that we have one, and then we can work on that kind of,
I think the motion is just to form work groups.
Okay.
We had already said that. I think one would be the Farm Center,
Yes.
and that would be the motion that I made.
Mhm.
But I also think that and this is not in my motion, but I think we need to form more than just one. I also think we need to form multiple
Yes.
work groups.
This is the
And-
first one we've
and this is the
identified.
first one, and I think we need to do that probably with this meeting, and at least by the next meeting, if we have a full crew, then decide who's working
how
on
to fill it out.
what.
Yeah, that
Right,
sounds good.
because we need to, it's June, we need to get.
I know.
moving.
Well, maybe we can have some
Right, I know it's May, but it'll be
Yeah.
June by the
Yeah.
time we
I
get
know.
working.
well, I think we're fine with that motion the way it is.
You have a motion and a second
And we
right
have
now.
a motion and a second, okay, so we can have a vote. All right. All those who are in favor in having a Farm Center working group?
And Carrie, your input would be valued.
Whatever you want to say.
I know,
Okay.
Yeah,
You're
no,
in.
I mean, y'all got it.
but.
All right, do you think, and I think that by the formation of this group, I think we can probably, pinpoint some of those asks that you have, and maybe, be an advocate or liaison or whatever the need be for whatever, whatever direction we need to go in, so I think that'll help both of us too.
I do have one question. I
Sure.
should have asked it
Sure.
a while ago, Stanley, so I apologize.
Okay.
On the sponsorships that you're going after right now, I know the county supports you, but is there consideration for a sponsorship there, or are we just going after corporate, or am I overstepping? I guess what I'm asking is, do we need to support something for you to go forward for those sponsorships, to possibly get some extra funding, I guess is what I'm asking.
Our main focus right now has been more corporate or individual,
Right,
rather than the county. The county's done a lot for us.
they have,
We're certainly not gonna turn it down.
right,
If they
I
want to-
understand,
If they want to be a sponsor, we'd love that.
right.
But
Okay.
that is not what our ask has been right now. I think our main goal with the county is partnering with them on grant writing.
Right.
Looking at potential grants, that sort of thing.
So that could be the focus of this board, because we're an extension of them, we could help you try to come up with some more of that. Okay, I understand.
One last thing on the farm center, and then we can move on, but also, we probably need to make a motion on this too. I do think it's, would be a good idea for us to write a letter of support for the farm center. I know we've done that in the past, but I don't think it would be too repetitive to do that, since we do have several new board members. Does anybody have any feelings on that?
I agree.
No, that's kind of what I was asking. I don't know if he's
I
going to
know.
make a presentation to council or not, but I think since it's on our agenda, it would be fitting if there was a letter written to council out of our meeting today stating that we are forming work groups to work together toward supporting the farm center and their endeavors to move forward.
Okay.
If it's nothing but it's backup material and it gets repeated that there's a farm center, like he said, the more people hear it, the more people are going to say, what are you doing?
That's what I was looking at. So do we need to have a motion for that, I guess? Okay. All right, would somebody like to make a motion, for a letter of support for the farm center?
Charlie, you make that.
I will.
Just repeat what I said, then just,
I'll make a motion to support the Ag Center by this board.
And
Write a
you
letter.
Write a
Letter
letter.
to council.
there you go.
And I'll
Write a letter
second.
of support for the farm center.
Right. Okay, so we have a second,
I'll second it.
okay, do we have any more discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
In the letter, I would say to take those tiers of sponsorship levels and make sure that that's mentioned, that they're seeking sponsorships in those levels that they are, because that's gonna be a good opportunity for a wide array of potential sponsors that you're gonna be in front of or that's gonna see that letter. So I think making sure that those sponsorships opportunities get written into that letter would be
Agreed.
really important.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I agree with that. And worded in the way that, which we can discuss that later. This is the
Yeah.
motion to vote, but basically, this was our update. Look how far they've come.
This
Look
is
at
where they are.
where they
Mhm.
are, and
They're
now we
looking
need
for.
to move forward, and
Okay.
we support
Y'all
them.
can, I'll help me with
And maybe even have that, if they so want it, to go along with when they're sending out sponsorships. A letter to council and a letter for the farm center to send with their sponsorships, if we can
If
do
you-
that.
If they already have a letter draft, do you already have a letter drafted, I'm assuming? Or close, you will?
We have our
Yeah.
forms.
Yeah.
But one that can we support? I guess I'm asking.
I'm not sure. We'll have to check with Katie.
We'll
Okay.
check, Katie.
If we can support them, I mean, I know the county does, but if that can be an added layer of support, and they want it, then I think we should do that.
That's good.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second, and discussion. Now we would like, let's vote.
Okay.
All in favor of writing a letter of support for the farm center? All right, so. Okay, we were moving on, right along to our next presentation. And, the Oconee County, let me get this right. Oconee County Food Council Committee, and Ms. Gwen McPhail is making the presentation for this committee today.
I know Debbie was there, and I know Carrie was there last year. Kim, were you at the food summit? If you weren't there for our county folks, last year, just before the combination of COVID and the tornado struck, some young people who were very interested in healthy local food, put together what they called the first annual Oconee County Food Summit. And it was amazing that just within a matter of weeks, they were able to put together an event that was held down in Seneca, open it up for public attendance, and I don't know the final count on attendance, but it was somewhere around 150 people, I believe, at least. They provided some local healthy food, locally prepared and locally sourced food. and had some presentations about the changing way that food is being marketed and wanted by the people. They want local things, they want to know their farmer, they want to know how it's produced, etc. And then all of a sudden COVID hit and the tornado struck, and I believe that probably the biggest thing that came out of that was the fact that you had had this huge number of people that all had very, very different interests, everything from how many farmers markets do we have in the county and what days and what times they're held, to how do we get healthy food to people in the lower socioeconomic areas of the county who are, right now some of them are walking to farmers markets and some of them have no way to get there at all. So, and in the midst of the pandemic, we also saw that we have a food pantry that has very limited in-out truck access. We had not many places where you could drive a group of people safely through and hand them prepared food without them being crowded together. They were trying to deal with COVID restrictions and regulations. It was a very eye-opening experience for everybody, I think, that saw how fragile our food system is in America, truly. We had dealt with over the years, additionally, little things like senior vouchers, where they're given out. It's kind of a top secret time that they're issued. Nobody knows how much you can make before you get them. Nobody knows who's going to get them and who's not, or how many people are getting them. What we do know is that if they're not all spent in the county, then the next year the county gets less for their seniors. And we also didn't have enough farmers that were being trained, because even though the training was held in Greenville, most of our farmers couldn't attend that day, so they were having to go to the meeting in Columbia, the training sessions in Columbia. We were able to coordinate and get a training session up here year before last and last year, once at the Extension Service, and then last year at the same place where the Food Summit was held. And that was wonderful. And it's on a 3-year cycle now, so we have more farmers than we had originally that are certified. But like I said, it was just an eye-opening experience to see how fragile our food system is. So out of that, they had a Zoom meeting or whatever to sort of reorganize those folks this year and look at how can we move forward securing food for Oconee. If you think about the fact that, like for example, Cafe, Clemson Area Food Exchange, is a computerized farmers market. And there are a number of farmers who sell on that and who sell on it locally. There has now been an outside group, I believe the people that own it are all the way in Illinois. They have set up another computerized farmers market, and they are already drawing some of our local vendors off of Cafe, or at least they are selling in Atlanta as well as to Oconee. And you know, that is for me a little bit of a scary thing, because in the event of some tragic something, who knows what, it might be worse than COVID next time. We want to make sure that the citizens of Oconee County have food. That is probably the most important thing that we can do. A lot of our farmers are contract growers, and those companies found themselves unable to distribute food in some cases. The restaurants that normally bought from them were closed. The cold storage was not available locally. And so there's just a massive number of things that will impact our food supply in the coming years, including phenomenal growth, which will place phenomenal demand on food, for food. Out of that group, there was out of the large summit, there was a group that decided that they would like to commit themselves to, among other committees, one of them was the Food Policy Council. And the Food Policy Council, they've kind of discussed it a little bit. They've decided they want to leave the word policy out, because policy implies government, and people don't always want the government involved in things. So they've decided to call themselves the Oconee Food group, or food council, I believe. It's written a letter. One of the organizers of the group wrote a grant, and she secured enough funding to pay her for the number of hours that it would take to begin to put these groups together. But the grant was very limited. It's very limited in time, and it was very limited in its uses. So, for example, we really don't know how many food insecure people there are in the county. We have some ideas. We kind of know where they live. We don't even know where all the farmers are that grow food, because a lot of farmers that grow food give it to churches, give it to their neighbors, give it away, and we never know where that is, and could they be encouraged to produce more. So to gather that much data takes a lot of time, and it also takes a lot of writing, unfortunately. So the lady who is writing who wrote the grant and who's putting the initial information together for this group has asked, probably the biggest thing is she wants to reach out and pull people from each of the communities together. And I don't think she's going to stick strictly with voting districts. I'm not sure how she's going to assign it. But she wants to invite people to come together in different areas. It might be libraries, it might be farmers markets, it might be churches. And you get more people, let's face it, when you feed them. So she would like to be able to provide small meals for these folks to come in, because they're going to have to give up time from their work, time from their families. So if you could provide them with a little meal so that they could get together and share their information, so that they could begin to gather data about, within this little area, how many people grow food, how many people need food, how many people have access to healthy food. She's also addressing things like SNAP. The machine to read SNAP cards is about $1,300. Our farmers market can't afford that, tapped on top of the percentage, the cut that the banks and the handlers and all that sort of stuff takes from that money. So she's working on trying to find out a way to put together a grant to, what would it take to get us included in it. There have been grants, but they're always annual, and so what can we do? Do we need a political arm to address legislative questions? But to do all of that, she has to get the people together first, and then she needs to print out information for them to take home, talk about, share with their neighbors, etc. And then perhaps fill out a survey, because sometimes people won't talk when they're in public, and allow them to mail it back to you, or back to them, so that they can begin to gather the data. And in the most recent meeting that particular group had, and I'll read this to you if you want me to, but I figure y'all have a copy, right? What she was asking for was for you all, we realize y'all don't have a budget, but she was asking that perhaps y'all would support a request to the county for them to help with the production of those meals, or the materials to put those meals together. I think she's got the people to do it, the cooking, etc. She just needs a little bit of a budget for food. And then she also needs a little bit of a budget for postage and printing, because let's face it, the other thing that we learned through COVID is not everybody in this county has internet access. So you can't throw a survey up there on the internet and say, take it, and we'll have all the information that we need. So not only is postage important, but a lot of people will fill something out and then it'll sit on their desk, and if you don't provide them with return postage, especially if it's short and sweet, and drop it in the mailbox, you'll get more information back. So her number was, to carry out our mission of forming this food council, we're seeking a partnership in the form of public support and financial assistance. We currently need support in the area of programming and communications. Community food gatherings, resident surveys, and informational materials are critical needs at this stage to develop a strong foundation for the Food Council. And underneath that, she's asked for $3,000 for community food gatherings, to listen to the residents, learn their needs, etc., and then $2,000 for postage, printing, and literature. So that's a $5,000 ask. I think that she would be more than happy to come up and present that ask to council. But I think that she would love to know that she has y'all's support for that as well, and that if she came up and spoke, she would have there would be a letter there to council saying that you all support this. the other thing about the food group, the food council, would be that I believe that their number one goal is to be a source that, working with y'all, and then, as y'all know, being from Oconee County, a lot of times there's 15 groups doing the same thing in 15 different areas in 15 different ways. And what we have are, Sarai's here tonight, she's on Walhalla City Council, and I noticed myself as a person at the farmer's market, we have lost our African American farmers. I remember in Walhalla seeing a gentleman who plowed with mules and had the most beautiful produce every year. Sarai, the Hispanic community has a number of products and plant things that we don't even know how to cook. And to be able to share that information as we move forward and get that into society, that is another part of this, that if you can begin to work as a group together rather than 15 different groups. So that's what I'm here to ask for. I'm not on the food council. I'm a supporter and a believer, and just a sort of a facilitator if possible. But I will answer questions if y'all have any.
Well, thank you, Gwen. I think we have I'm sure there's going to be some questions, and then I think there's going to be a little bit of discussion here on what we're going to try to do. But right away, does anybody have any questions for Gwen before she sits down that she brought up? Well, now, I mean, does anybody have any questions for her right away?
I thank Gwen for what you're doing, and I think the county, is well needed of this. You mentioned knowing our farmers, and I remember years ago, there may still be some of those pictures in, they would come out and take pictures of farmers all over the county, but they were posted in the FSA office. If you didn't come in the office, you didn't see them. So I think they would be better off posted out where people could see.
That's something for the
Whether
farm,
it's
for the fair.
on a road sign or whether it's in a restaurant somewhere.
And I will thank you, Charlie, for reminding me of that. And this is, it's really a huge endeavor. The more that I've been around them as they worked on it, the bigger I realize that it is. But one of the things that we've talked about is that in June and July, when the squash comes in, it's everywhere. There's so much squash. And so the price goes down, down, down. If the farmers pick it on Monday, it's not going to last till Saturday market. But for example, the farm center, if we had that capacity to have cold storage, then they could keep their squash. If it didn't sell, then perhaps there might be another market that opened, or markets could open multiple days. We kind of leaned away from the cannery, just to be honest, because we went to see some, and even with the oldest equipment that was like being bought out of old schools and things, it was still in the millions of dollars. And so what we looked at was a commercial kitchen, because that would provide the same thing on a scale that the individual people could do and still sell, and that would give them then the authority to sell, at the retail level, and they could sell in September or October or November what they had grown in June, and that would be a good thing. But again, there's always a group that's interested. They look at something, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, where are we going to put cold storage? Oh, well, where in the county are we going to put it? And so that's what I think the Food Council would do, is begin to coordinate those efforts, so that rather than 5 or 6 or 10 groups looking at the possibility of a grant for that, let's all pull together and look at the best place to put it and the most accessible. And then you have to get the buses on board, because they've got to get the people there. And so, yeah, it gets huge real quick.
Well, anybody else have a question?
So this survey outcome, and you've said it, is to gather the information to get the groups to work together. If there's, just like with the farmer's market, and I'm just using that for an example, we have them everywhere, but then get them to work together for the common goal.
Right, well, if you don't know where they are, you can't get them to work together.
Exactly.
And so
So
the
you gotta-
initial ask is to actually just pull them together and find out what's available in the communities, who's doing what, who's growing what, where's the need. Some of the questions that have come up have been things like, when you talk about, because for me, if you can't make a living farming, you can't keep farming.
Right.
And yet then we have people who need less expensive food. They cannot pay the premium prices that people say Patrick Square and Townsend can pay. We need to know where do we need to focus some food production so that it's close enough to the need for food that isn't priced the same as it is at Patrick Square. And nothing against Patrick Square, but
Right.
it's just a different socioeconomic group.
And pulling everybody together, you may find that you already have it produced. They're just giving it away, doing something, and would like to sell it, but may feel they can't. So this would kind of pull groups together. Any thoughts?
I really think this kind of is a two-part thing as far as I'm concerned. One, they're asking for financial assistance. And I think, this is something we probably need to talk with Laura about and Katie. I think that our role in this as the Ag Board is to advise council on whether or not to support this financially.
That would be a
We
letter,
can't make, we
yes.
certainly cannot make the decision to give anybody money or not.
That's right.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
that's,
think that was the formal request that she was making, was a letter. to be
right.
written.
And that's what that's what I've talked with the organizer of this, and that's what, the reason, and she was asked to come through us, and just to get our blessing, I guess you would say.
Well, I mean, we definitely,
Because
I do personally support
And
this,
So, yeah, and the other part of it is, that's what I was getting to, is actually the support or a partnership with this group to, because, what came out of the Food Summit and what our goals and mission is almost exactly what the mission of the Food Policy Council would be, or a food, I leave out the policy part, but what a community food group would be is to, and of course, we are heavy on the agriculture part, but we all know without agriculture, there wouldn't be any food. I mean, of course, chemists come up with things all the time, but we prefer the agricultural source food.
Sure.
Or I do. I work with a lot of chemists. I trust the agricultural food better, much better, so.
I think what Ashley said, I agree, but I think what our goal today is to give a letter of support to go, she can take with her, or we can send to council prior to, however it needs to be done, to support this Oconee Food Community Council in their endeavors to have groups come together, to work together, to fulfill the grant and hopefully come up with some great information and ideas.
And Ashley Townsend is on the council, so she kind of already is a
Well,
liaison.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, I'm.
I will say though, I did ask Ashley specifically today
Okay,
if she was on this committee,
okay,
and she is not.
okay. That's new information.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure, I mean, because I knew, the reason I asked her, even though I knew she wasn't gonna be here, if she had been here, or if we was to vote on this later, she may have to recuse herself for the
Okay.
vote if she's part of this committee. So I wanted to know if she was on that committee or not. So, but Laura, do you think, I think that's our role, is instead of asking for the money of ourselves, is to actually ask
For the support.
council to,
And then there's a form that the
Yeah.
group would fill out to ask if you need the money. And
Right.
I have that, I brought it with me.
yeah, I have a copy of that. And what I was thinking about is getting, maybe, just so y'all know, it's like, writing a letter of support, that we support or not them getting this money, and that I will work with Katie to figure out what's the best way to present it to council. Maybe. this and to go through,
Well, actually, this form gets filled out.
I mean, the financial person,
Yeah, it goes to finance.
Not Katie,
And then
but-
it goes to Ms. Brock,
right.
and then she decides if it goes to council.
Oh, okay. So there's a,
There's a,
There's a
order of
process.
Right.
and
things.
order.
But I think the letter would be a good backup for this.
oh, okay. So
Yeah,
we
that
just
it
need
would
to
help.
decide whether or not to,
Yeah, so,
we should, support the financial part of this. I mean,
just a letter of support, I mean.
yeah, okay.
I mean, if we make a letter of support, then they can figure out if they do the donation completely, or if they do in kind, or staff help, or
Yeah.
whatever. I think we just need to support this group and then kind of let them.
There again, we have, the county has resources with grant writer and that kind of thing, and also a lot of grants to partnership with, even though it's government, there are grants that they ask to partnership with government, so, I mean, I think that might be our best bet is to, but I still guess, I mean, I don't know where to go from here. I mean, I know we need to find out if I know most of us support this cause, or this committee, and then
Would it be something that, I mean, let's decide, yes, a letter of support, and then who is writing this letter of support?
yeah. And then, and this is another thought too, and here we go again, is to form another work group, to work with this group.
Wouldn't you have, is it,
I mean, I've worked with them before. Tessa's got some connections, and so does Ashley, so the three of
yeah, I was
us.
gonna say.
But if, we wanted to make it a formal work group, is what I'm saying, do we want to do that?
We probably could. This also, I think if it was added on, adding education,
Yeah.
adding education to it,
They actually, at the regroup, they actually invited Dr. Thorson, who came and did a presentation to the people who attended that. And he brought with him the new food director, whose goal is to look for local and sustainable food sources.
yeah.
So,
those
yeah,
people-
they are definitely wanting to encourage young, they would like to see us do like Georgia and put agriculture from elementary up, so.
People really, really want to know where their food comes from, so I think if we could add educating the community and people about where their
Add
food.
that where?
We have a new food and nutrition agent, well, extension educator on a grant. She does officially, it's Catalan, and she's doing diabetes programming right now, but a lot of that, her programming is geared towards obviously healthy foods, choices, that kind of stuff. So that might be another opportunity to get extension and outside people involved. And I know Kim, Dr. Parisi has been involved with the Food Policy Council some too, from the
Okay.
I
university.
was supposed to speak from the podium for comments too, and I'm sorry, but they have, and they have somebody from is it Be Healthy, Sarah? Who is it's the Healthy Oconee Coalition that they're working closely with too?
Yes.
So they're reaching out, they're trying to cover so much, I mean, it's just really mind-boggling to be honest. And that's why I'm here instead of her, because I think she's had so many meetings and gone to so many places trying to put everything together. Yes, they're looking at nutrition, education, increasing production, not just for little kids, certainly little kids, but also retirees who might want a program they might need something in how the latest production methods, high tunnels, those kinds of things. I think they've been talking to Jason about trying to get some more people into those programs where they use the NRCS funding for those facilities as well. So, yeah, they're really looking at a big pile of stuff.
I think as a board, the letter of support is gonna give them a leg up as a group, because like Gwen said, there are a number of different entities that do similar little parts and pieces, but in being at the food summit last year and then participating in the Zoom one this year, I mean, you really see they are attempting to get every piece of the puzzle connected. And this is probably in over 12 years of extension, the first time that somebody's attempted to do that I've seen that trying to happen. So I think as a board, the best thing that we can do is to write that letter of support, so that when they go to the county and say, hey, we'd like some support from you, that they have a leg up over any other group that's trying to do any of this. I mean, that's really,
I think that's.
it's like the stamp of approval. Like, hey, they're doing it, like, let them do it. Let's everybody kind of help them along.
Yeah.
And we've not gotten there yet, but it kind of ties in, so can I kind of skip? When you talk about, when we said that we were to contact our council person prior to the meeting, that is the one thing that my rep said, hey, do you think you can get people to work together? I laughed. I said, okay. But I think this is a great example of that. If they're trying to find out where this farmer's doing this and he's selling over here and this little group's doing this and they're giving to this, I think this will be hopefully what she's doing with her grant and her research will be one document that says, these are your 15 groups and these are their 15 ideas, and we're trying to channel them into this right here to where we're all working toward the same goal.
That's the county food assessment.
Exactly.
Report, which is their plan.
Right.
Yeah, this is just this is the start of
So
it.
it's the beginning,
The
but I think
beginning
it's
of
the beginning to do what I think our council would like, instead of Be Healthy coming in saying, hey, can you give me some money?
Yeah.
I'm trying to fix diabetes and this group coming in. I think this would help them, and then it would also help with agricultural and us moving forward, so.
And I think it might be, because the food, I'm struggling to not say policy, the Food Council Committee,
Right.
their purpose is to connect the dots.
Right.
And so I think it might be redundant to have a work group, because they're actively, I'm getting foggy, they're actively reaching out. And so our purpose might be more to be here when they need support.
Right, and if someone asks, hey, are they legit, we say yes, and we
Yeah.
support what they're doing so that they can bring us the information so we know how to go forward. But I think I see where you're coming from, and if you want to extend that olive branch of, hey, I know Ashley, I know Tessa, I know you are very interested in it, to say, hey, we're willing to help if you need us.
Yes.
And leave it at that for right now, and if they do need us, then if you want to form it.
Okay. Well, I, just for a little bit of I'm just gonna go ahead and say Mandolin sent me this letter first, and we talked about this on the phone. And one thing that I brought up, and the reason I said that is, we've decided to meet, or we'd like to meet with her to see what she feels like the Ag Advisory Board, and how we could be a liaison or an advocate, and that's why I said work group, but I don't know.
Okay.
And it may be that she doesn't feel like it's appropriate, but I just want to make sure that, and I guess a letter of support would do that, although to me, sometimes a letter is great, it is always great, but also there's an opportunity for action as well. And although she wants to leave the word policy out at some point, I think that there's gonna, just like today, be a need where there needs to be a direct person that they can go to that's got a direct line. If, and like I said, I want to talk with her further about,
Yeah, maybe we could put it to the council to discuss whether or not they want a point person
Mhm.
on the board, or whether they would rather present when they need to present
Mhm.
for new
Well, I was
things.
thinking
I'm
if we
just
could,
trying to keep it streamlined.
well, maybe what
I
we can do
guess.
is just say, if the board gives me the okay to talk to Mandolin directly and come up with what we need to do as a board. How does, I mean, does that sound better? Or if somebody else wants to talk to them?
No, I mean, you know where I mean, that's fine as far as, I mean, that's concerned, but I think, do we have a motion on the floor yet?
Not yet, we're
Not
just,
yet.
we're just doing a little,
I think what we need, and I think what
We
Gwen
probably
came
need to-
forward today
Yeah.
is we need to vote on
Okay.
giving her support
okay,
to go forward, because if I understand, this grant's short in time, so she's gonna be on a time crunch, so
Right.
we can't wait.
okay.
And however council decides, like I said, and I think maybe we can incorporate in our letter that we would like to, Gwen says they are educating, and maybe that just needs to be mentioned so that it covers what you were saying.
It would help.
We
And
can-
then,
Yeah,
and then word it, and then say we support it. So I make a motion that we support the grant. That's gonna, I mean, support Madeline's request, is that who it is, or
Madeline.
Oconee? I'm confused now.
The-
We've talked about so many different people.
okay,
I vote that my motion is that we write a letter of support to Oconee County Council, and it goes through the proper channels for them to request funding for this
Food council.
food council.
So you want the letter to explicitly support the request for funding?
we could do
That's-
both in the letter, I guess.
Yeah, that's what she's asking for, correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
So can we do both in the same letter, support the council in general and support funding, or?
I think that we would. If we support the funding of it, we would be supporting.
Okay.
We think
The
they're
group.
great because, and we
Yeah,
support
like have the
their-
general and then the specific,
Yes.
okay.
So,
To support funding, to support the fund request.
Charlie's ready to go.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Of the
Okay.
treasurer to Oconee County
So that's
Council
the,
in
so
support.
let's say the motion one more time, so,
So Ken Alexander made a motion for the Agriculture Advisory Board to write a letter to Oconee County Council in support of the fund request by the
Oconee,
Oconee Food Council.
yes.
right, okay.
And Charlie seconded it before I got it out of my mouth.
Okay, any more discussion? No. Okay. Do we
Wait, I will
want?
say,
Oh,
that
sorry.
one of the, Debbie, you were asking about actions, I'm sorry. She's asking about actions, like things to do. And I think that if you're writing a letter, one of the things that, I can't do it, but you can do, is to contact those liaisons and say, hey, there's a letter coming, they're asking for funds.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
We support
That's
it,
a good idea.
we think you should like go for
Yeah,
it,
we-
this is a great group.
Right.
get
That's,
it done.
I think that's the action that
Right.
you can take.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that's on that side, but I was talking about on the other side.
Yeah, no, I know, I just think that's the action that goes along
Well,
with
that-
it, not only
yes.
writing the letter,
Even
but.
though you were in here in
Contacting.
spirit last week, that was kind of like one of the things we talked about, is everybody
It's
contact
good
you
to-
there in person.
It's good to kind of remind us that this
I'm
is
gonna put a cardboard.
Okay.
out there.
important too.
Okay.
Order of facts.
Let's have a vote, if there's no more discussion. Hey,
Excuse me, Debbie,
yes,
who is going to be writing the letter and what is the time frame?
okay.
What
I,
is your time frame, Gwen?
yeah, do you know a time
Do
frame?
you know how soon we have, yeah.
Thanks.
How fast can you give me that copy? And we'll fill it out and have it back to,
Yeah, I
Tuesday.
think it's,
Tuesday is when county council meeting.
well,
We need the letter
what I'm
written
thinking
prior
is,
to
we won't be able to make that
Tuesday, is what
agenda
they-
though
Okay.
for this week. But we can certainly make it for the next week, I mean, in time to make it for the next one, right?
It's June, the first Tuesday, right?
Jean?
So I need to get that form to Mandolin, which I can do practically on the way home.
Oh, we can get that to you right here.
I was gonna say she could probably get it right off okay, whatever, she can probably fill it out on the thing.
Okay,
But,
but our letter, I guess,
and then,
are you gonna present it at the June meeting, you're saying?
June 2nd.
June 2nd?
Well,
Tuesday?
Is it too late to add it for Tuesday? Because I'm
You've looked
working
at
on
this?
something with the county to present.
I have not
for
even looked at
Tuesday.
it.
Okay, it's asking for like financials and it's asking for expenditures and things like that. I mean, is that something you can do quickly?
Yeah.
I think we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. And it's not a guarantee that it's going on the next council meeting,
That's
it's
right.
just.
Yeah.
Okay, but our
So
letter,
just as soon as possible.
Right, we'll
we'll
get
get it
that.
so it's
Who do
ready.
we need to get that form to? To
Finance.
We need to vote.
the finance
Yeah,
department?
we do.
Okay.
Maybe we should say no later than
We got a
June
motion.
second.
And we got to
Later than June 6th.
It should be,
For that.
we should have our portion.
You're happy, okay.
Let's vote.
yeah,
You have to call question.
Question, let's vote.
I quit, I know, I'm sorry. Let's vote on the letter and,
Okay.
do we have
Motion
to?
for the Agriculture Advisory Board to write a letter to Oconee County Council in support of a fund request by Food Council Committee, seconded by Charlie Whitten.
Yeah, okay, all right, let's have a vote.
all of
All in favor?
The who and
Done
when,
deal.
who's
Well-
writing it?
Can we, yeah. I'll take the lead on that. Tessa can probably help me with that letter too,
Yes, I can help you.
if that's okay with everybody.
Do they have to vote on it?
Okay, we don't have to vote on it, okay. All right, all right, let's move along. I'm lost now. We got two more things on here. Just, did y'all have a chance, we just was gonna briefly go over the workshop, and I think we've already, we've proceeded on some of our stuff, thank goodness, on that. I don't have, here, let's see, I don't have
You
mine
want
on
mine?
there.
Here you go.
No, I got one here, I forgot. Okay, so I just wanted to mention, that, I hope that everyone's had a chance to talk to their representative. Kim, you mentioned you talked to Mr. Elliott.
I did, he had very kind words, and, but he did mention that he would like to see as many groups that can work together, and we actually, Stanley, we're talking about the farm center. So that's why I said, what do you need, and the farmer's market, Gwen, he had mentioned you. And I just think we need to, try to do that, to support what our county has done for agricultural, and to keep us moving forward. So that is what he had to say, and
That
that was
sounds
kind
good.
of our conversation.
Charlie, did you have a chance to talk to Glenn? Tessa?
Sorry.
You're like me.
My notes.
Have you talked to anybody? I know you talked to that community group, but
About,
whatever. Is there anything you needed to bring to us? That was just one of the things that we
oh, did I
talked
talk
about
to
too.
my Parks
Yeah.
and Rec?
We're both, we don't,
Sorry.
we're at large, so we talked to various groups. So, but I think
haven't
we've
gotten a chance
already
to connect
addressed
with
that
him yet.
communication thing. I think that's a good thing. That's what I was gonna say. And, the other thing is I wanted to talk briefly about our goals that we had on here. And, I think that by what we've talked about today, we're meeting some of these goals, or by forming this group and by doing these letters of support. And really just mainly just wanted to briefly go over this. Anybody have any questions about what we talked about at the, workshop, or do you have any ideas of, or do you think we're going in the right direction, or whatever? Just briefly discuss it, real brief.
Well, I think our two action items we covered, and I think we are moving in the right direction. I think before we do a whole lot more discussion on this, I think it would be great to have our other three members,
here.
if at all possible, have a full board so that we can be more in depth, because it's kind of hard to move forward when you have, barely have a quorum so that we can move forward. But I'm glad we did. And I know we're winding down, but I did have one question for Stanley. Can I, Madam Chair, can I please ask?
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, what is your deadline, or when would you like to have the letter of support? Are you going to be making a presentation anytime? Do you need it sooner than
We will not be
later?
doing a presentation until after our first concert,
Okay,
which will be
Oh.
June 5th.
okay.
So it will be
Okay.
later in June or early July.
So we just need to have it really before our next meeting. So if we know that is our deadline to get the farm center there. Thank you.
Okay,
I
thanks.
should have asked that to start with.
Anybody else? Okay, let's move on to our last item, which is, as far as I know, we don't have a new planning director yet. Might be some movement on that, but we want to talk about our future for our time schedule for this. And I just want to say right off the bat that I'm proposing that we continue at the 4 p.m. time slot on the second Mondays, like we had the same day, but this a different time, the 4 o'clock time. And I hadn't had any feedback from anybody except for Ashley, and she is working, but she feels like she may either be able, she might be able to work out to get off or to schedule her time so she could be here. And I just want, just let me know what y'all think about the staying with the 4 o'clock time, or are there anybody other ideas? I know, Kim, you mentioned 5 might work better for you.
Well, I mean, it just really depends if it's Mondays and then for how much longer. I mean, 4 o'clock works for everybody. I'll do my part to do.
Okay.
5 o'clock also might provide a little more wiggle room within the workday for myself.
Is that
I'll
gonna
throw
be a
that out
problem
there.
for y'all, 5 o'clock
It's
on second Mondays?
We can make that.
If we promise to keep it to an hour and we're over right now.
I know, I'm sorry.
No.
Well, we're not too bad. Okay, so anybody else, Charlie, 4 or 5, you got a preference?
I'm good with anything. 4's okay.
Carrie?
5's okay.
You got any?
Whatever.
Carrie, what about you?
I'm the outlier, but I like 4 just because with kids
I know.
and sports, and I coach something every season.
Yeah.
Somehow I coach something every season.
I can flex.
I'm amenable. I
Yeah.
was just
I
gonna
can, if
So
you
either-
put that out
so-
there.
yeah.
All right, so I guess, I don't know then, that's how we should form this motion.
and vote it.
Just,
yeah, but
I
I'm
make a
just
motion to
saying.
keep it the same
At 4?
until, I think that's what everybody here agreed on.
4? So 4
Yes.
on second Mondays?
Yes, ma'am.
So motion and vote it, Ms. Sewell.
I need a motion on that.
You can motion it.
I can motion it, okay. All right, then I motion that for now, we
Is it-
keep the,
Is that something we need when we get our other members? Maybe they'd have some input?
I asked for input from everybody, I didn't get any, everybody that,
This was
is
on
not
the
here has
agenda.
input, had made input.
It's only until we get a new planning director, so.
Yeah, it works. That'll work.
Well, Ashley gave me, like I said, she said that, she was working, so she didn't know if she'd be able to be here regardless, you know, the time period, so, unless we went back to 6:30. And we can't do that right now, so, and then Rex said he was fine with the time, so, that, and Larry, I don't know, I haven't heard from Larry, has anybody heard from Larry? Okay, so, I guess we're just gonna have to do, so we're gonna continue with our normal second Monday and 4 o'clock. All right.
So motion
I
and vote it.
motion that we do the second Monday, 4 p.m.
So motion and vote it, but do a, June and July, just do like the next 2
Okay, so
meetings.
2 months?
Yeah.
So you
okay.
can, yeah, because you don't plan.
For
on
June and
doing-
July.
Put that in the motion
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
so,
to have.
to have our meeting time at 4 p.m., second Monday in June and July. That sound good? Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, let's vote. Who approves of having the time at 4 p.m. on second Mondays? I'll get it out in a minute. Vote for approval?
For June and July.
For June and July.
Okay.
Approve.
With it.
Okay. Are we hoping that maybe August
Yeah.
we'll have somebody? All right. Okay. All right, I think that's going to conclude our meeting. I would like to, if I can have a motion to adjourn.
One more thing.
Okay, got a motion? Got a
What-
second?
Would like to thank everybody,
Oh.
on our agenda here. It's communicating the SCDOT and the council about the traffic circle that was gonna be built in Oakway.
Oh,
And, I don't think it's gonna happen now, so I'm glad to see, yeah, it's so many trucks and tractors and farm equipment, I believe it would have been chaos. I think our cause made some support down that way, so.
cool.
And also something I'd like to bring up next time would be, I've noticed in Georgia, they have more road signs that support farmers. And one of them says, you know, we live here, we work here, our equipment's on the road. Something in that kind of nature, you know, it's
Well, can you,
you know, we got it down to educate, you know, the communities about, we are on the road with tractors, we're on the road with hay balers, we're carrying hay from field to field and combines and that kind of stuff, and it's like I don't know if y'all noticed, but it's like when the COVID has let up, people are in high gear. They're on the roads and everything. And,
Well, let me say something right quick. We need to go ahead and, yes.
So we need to stick to the agenda.
Right, we need-
If you
I was-
wanna add, you know, commissioner comment or whatever to the agenda, that's fine, so that they can have their comments, but we have to stick to the agenda.
Right, that's what I was trying to say. Okay, we want to, we can talk about that and adding that to our next agenda. We can't talk about it tonight, but I appreciate that. So does anybody have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?